What's up, guys? My first guest here for the AFAM podcast is someone that is very special. A great friend of mine, has been here also for 15 years or 15, 16 years. She didn't grow up here. She decided to move here on what she claims is a gut feeling. And after that, she has stayed this whole time. She's a dear friend of mine and one of the realest people I know. She is probably the standard and epitome of a host, and she's built something here the hard way. She's nothing else but good vibes, and my first guest is none other than Mara Aquino.
What an intro. What an intro. I'm listening to that. It's like, wow, I'm buying what you're selling.
Welcome. You are officially my first guest here for this brand new podcast.
Ako playing first?
Well, technically, Wolf.
Yeah.
But like Wolf was episode 0.
Oh,
so like,
there's a 0? Why not 1?
We wanted to do episode 0 because episode 0 was basically because this whole thing, Manila Podcast Studio, is like 3 years in the making. And so I just felt like it deserved its own episode on that story, and Wolf as well. Because Wolf's rarely a guest. He's always the host on his podcast.
Which I'm so proud of you for building this, because you talked to me about this a couple of years ago. And then you were even thinking about it at another location.
Yeah.
And then now you have it here. So yay.
That's basically what we were me and Wolf were talking about that in that episode 0, was how it started as like an idea. And then we were actually in the motion of starting this place, Manila Podcast Studio. And then it was a good thing we didn't. And even when we look back on it, both our lives, it wasn't the right time for it. So, and here we are now. We've made this come true. Although we started a lot smaller than we originally planned, we have it nonetheless. And I know Wolf has probably already created like 10 episodes here. I think he's recorded like 10 episodes. And so it's been amazing. But before we dive into Mara's story, I want to kind of let you guys know, some of the listeners, some of the viewers out there, exactly how Mara and I know each other, and how our friendship basically started. And just to give you guys some context before we go into our story, because in our last episode, you heard my story, how I ended up here, and again, how it's related to this whole concept of season 1 for this podcast, which is building, not escaping. And I think Mara has an amazing story that she's built a life here, and she's got a lot to share. So let's go ahead and start out. Mara, how do we know, where do we meet? How do we know each other?
You did the caster search.
Yes.
That's how it started. You did the caster search, and then I started one season before you did.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was a season before.
Yeah, it was just a season before. So I started the same year, I think. Right? I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
2021?
2021, yes.
Yeah.
2021. So from caster search, and I was hosting there, like, casters, this is your task.
Yeah. I remember because it was like day 1, after we had done all the modules and stuff, we had time to like hang out. Like, it was like the teaching stuff was done and it was time for everyone to just kind of like hang out.
By the pool.
Yeah. And I remember you telling me like, do you understand, or can you speak Tagalog? And I was like, at that time I was like, yeah, I could understand it more than I could speak it. And then your first thing you told me was like, you should really learn how to speak Tagalog.
Yes.
And I feel like, that's been 5 years now. I feel like I'm much better, but I still have the accent. I don't know if I'll ever get rid of that. And, but yeah, so we met in caster search, and that was my entry point into esports officially. And it was, I remember you were, I didn't know you had joined that year, because I was like, you're so good at what you did. Right. And same year. Mm-hmm. By the way, happy Women's Month.
Oh, thanks.
Happy Women's Month, by the way. And I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself, because, I did the whole lead into this. But how would you, like, if someone asked you, who are you, or how do you introduce yourself? How would you do that?
How do I introduce myself? I just say my name. I kind of don't, like, when people ask me, I don't tell them what I do.
You just say, I'm Mara Aquino.
Yeah, I just say I'm Mara. I don't tell them what I do, so there's no expectations or anything like that. But if somebody were to ask me what I'm doing, Before I used to say, well, I talk for a living.
That's what I do.
I talk for a living, yeah. And then now I would say I host.
You host.
But it's the hosting is so broad because there's esports hosting, sports hosting, TV show hosting, radio hosting, podcasts. So people think hosting is just the same thing, but it actually calls for a different type of skill depending on where you are.
Yeah.
So I just say host. I host.
That's kind of what I go for, or like commentator, because like the other day
Screamcaster. Okay, so we went to a party. It was actually Kayla's birthday, and then one of the guests there, babe, what does Screamcaster mean? And
she was saying this by the way, she's saying babe to her.
Yeah, and I was like, what screen? You mean screen? Screen like a TV screen? Screencaster? No, Screamcaster. And I was just like looking at her, trying to figure out what she meant, and then shoutcaster. And then she remembered it as Screamcaster, and I thought that was so funny. But now, yes, I also say commentator because it's easier for people to know.
Yeah.
To understand. Commentator.
Yeah, commentator, host.
For you, I'm not a commentator. Yeah. I can't. You guys do something like...
I heard you had a little foray into commentating though.
Oh, yeah. I did for work.
Yeah.
So it was the first day of PKL, which is Honor of Kings, and we wanted to do something different. And I said to everybody, that we should be more like loose and more wild and whatever. And I was supposed to step off during pag magda-draft na, during the drafting phase. And Amanda's like, Mana, tara, mag-cast ka na. Di ba ito yung gusto mo? And because hinamon niya ako, he challenged me. I was like, oh, okay. And so it wasn't planned at all. So
that was on a whim.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was supposed to, I was standing up already. I took out my microphone already and my override, my earpiece. I took it all out. And Amanda's like, ito ba yung gusto mo? Tara, tara. So
how was that? Like, what was that like?
It was so confusing. It was like, so I was basically throwing everything I knew. Like I was calling out the jungle monster when they're gonna respawn. Because long story short, so prior to that, I actually wanted to really get to know everything about the game. And I even hired a tutor.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah, I did.
That's a smart thing to do.
I did because one of my themes last year was I am a learner. So everything I go into, I want to learn about it.
Yeah.
I want to dive deep into it and understand. So so that's what I was throwing out. Like, okay, there's the healing dude. It's gonna respawn in a minute.
I'm exactly the same way. So I get it. Like if there's something new that I want to do, like I'll go all in.
Yeah.
And like educate myself as much as possible.
If I had like LeBron James, I would have a coach for every single aspect of my life. Everything. I would want to have a coach for everything. Hopefully I get there. So right now I just have I have two coaches.
Two coaches, yeah.
Two teachers.
Yeah.
One for this and one for my other goal.
Yeah. You want to? We can talk about the other goal later on if you want to. Yeah.
Okay.
So because I want to move into your early years here, especially since the last episode, that's really where I started. What did you know about the Philippines before even moving, though?
Well, I was here when I was really, really young, so I don't remember anything, though.
Were you born here, or were you
I was born here, and
Okay.
I went to elementary school in Toronto.
Okay.
Elementary school, high school, college. I worked there. I worked a lot there. And then when I came here, which is supposed to be for a vacation, what did I remember? I didn't remember much. I only remembered my grandma's place.
That was it. Okay.
That was it. I remember my grandma's place, the pig farm. And then that's all I could remember. And at that time, before coming here, I thought, oh, I understand Tagalog. So I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Because I understand, because my parents speak to me Taglish at home. But when I got to the Philippines, it was like I was like, whoa.
So fast.
It's so fast.
Yeah,
I couldn't understand. So for every sentence, I would understand like 2 words. And I would kind of figure it out. So until eventually I wanted to learn the language.
Yeah.
I believe in the saying survival of the best adapted. Not survival of the fittest, survival of the best adapted.
Adapted. Yeah, I
So
like that.
I had to adapt because that's what was called upon. And when I worked here, I remember working for a basketball league. I worked in different leagues, and it was supposed to be like 70% Tagalog, 30% English. And we had to write our own reports. And sometimes you have 5 minutes before you go on camp to find a report and report it right away. So it would take me so long. I would write in English first, translate in Tagalog, and hopefully I remember. And it became and then I had a white paper. It would take me so long, and I would have my FD, my floor director, hold it out the translated version.
Yeah.
The translated version. So I would remember, I would have the keywords, and it was such a long process. And I said, no, I can't keep doing this. I need to be faster. I need the processing to be faster. So I made it into a habit to have Tagalog vocabulary. I would read newspapers, magazines, any signs in Tagalog. And I would want to pronounce it the exact same way everyone else would pronounce it.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't understand, I would still read it. And that's how I got better. So I got the accent down, everything, until eventually.
Yeah, you're way better than I am. I mean, until now, because the accent is the hardest part for me.
Yes.
And I remember talking to you about this like before too, when I was trying to learn it more.
I told you about the A, E, I, O, U.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's the key. You just have to say the syllables, right? The vowels, A, E, I, O, U. So, la, le, li, lo, lu. Ba, be, bi, bo, boo.
I'm still like A, E, I, O, U, you know?
You just have to pronounce it that way, and then you're good.
Yeah,
So that's the trick that I learned.
Yeah. You know, and I think we'll talk about your time learning the language a little bit more too, because I had to go through the same thing. But before we get to there, we got to talk about your actual move. So like you're in Toronto. I know you don't want to talk about exactly probably how old you were at the time, but like, you know, you're a young adult. Probably, I'm assuming you were a young adult as well before you moved here, and you moved here on essentially a gut feeling.
Yeah, so I remember it was Facebook, and then I got reconnected with like a friend from when I was like, I don't know, 7 years old or something. And then I got curious. And then something told me, like literally gut feeling, something told me, go. So I thought about it on a Wednesday. I was here by Monday.
Wow. So in literally like 4 or 5 days.
I just booked a flight.
Were you working at the time? Like, what were you doing in Toronto?
So I just got my license for, I worked for Financial Institute.
Okay.
And I just got my license for mutual funds.
Okay.
And then I remember so we were talking about like the marketing strategies and stuff. And we were about to order wines. So to get the clients, I remember the plan was we were going to book like this yacht place and then have people come, and then our giveaways, it was supposed to be like wine, but instead of giving out calling cards, we would have the logo on the wine. So when they're serving it to people, it's a conversation starter with your calling card attached to the wine. And I said, okay, before I invest on this, I want to go on vacation first, because once I go on, like,
you're going all in.
You're gonna go all in.
Yeah.
And I knew that for the next 3 years, I'm not going to have a vacation. So let me just go first. And then when I arrived here, I said, you know what? My ticket is open for 1 year. I think I'll try it for 1 year. And then second year.
It was supposed to be a vacation.
It was supposed to be a vacation.
You
like a month
you
or
didn't
two.
have the intention to like move right away.
No, why would I?
Yeah.
At that time,
I did.
I didn't. Because in my head, like, I have my career. I just got my license. And now, you know, what am I going to do in the Philippines?
Yeah.
And then I was comparing the income here to Canada. And it didn't make sense that I would come here for $500 a month.
Yeah.
Because I was converting, right? I wasn't considering the exchange, like, you know, what do you call it? The cost of living.
Cost of living, yeah.
So I didn't think it would make sense to work here full time. So in my first year, I was turning down different jobs. Like somebody even offered for me to be a salesperson for oil.
Here?
Like, yeah, selling oil.
Oh.
And it was a guaranteed thing. Like I just have to call. They already have their clients. And I just have to call, and it was a guaranteed, I remember it was huge money. Yeah. But then I'm like, I don't want to stay here working full time. I'm here for a vacation.
Yeah.
But then I ended up staying.
So what did you, before you got to the decision of what caused you to actually stay in the Philippines, what were you like leaving behind in Toronto?
My family.
Your family.
And
did you have like a relationship going on, or?
Oh yeah. I was going out with somebody there, and it was a police officer. And then basically I told him when I get on the plane, oh, okay, this is the real story. I didn't know how to break up with him. So, and I wasn't sure how long I was going to stay here, like a month or two. But basically, I said, when I get on the plane, we're broken up.
Were you guys together for a while?
Like I think it was like 2 years.
Damn.
I said, when I get on the plane, yeah, we'll go our separate ways. I used to have a hard time breaking up with people.
Yeah, like saying what you wanted to say.
Yes,
basically. Yeah.
because all my decision was based on like what they wanted. So I would always put myself second at that time. I've learned a lot. And so even though I didn't want certain things, I would consider what my partner wanted first. And that was more important to me than what I wanted.
Yeah.
So that I couldn't break up with him. So I decided to leave.
How did he, well, I'm just curious. You don't have to go too much into detail, but how did he take that? Like when you mentioned that?
So he was like that type of person that didn't. I always said to him that you're like a robot. You don't say how you feel. So when I told him, he just said, okay.
Okay.
So I thought he didn't care, but he actually came a year later and said, I want to marry you. A year later.
He came to the Philippines?
Yeah. He came to the
dang.
Philippines.
Okay.
Yeah, and he got beaten up. He got mugged. It was so sad.
Oh no, I don't mean to laugh. I'm so sorry, but
Yeah,
that
so-
is tragic. But then you also told him like you don't want to get married.
Yeah, no, I said, why would you? I got mad when he said that because I said, why would you tell me this now? This is so unfair.
Yeah.
And I remember he met up with me with sunglasses on, and I said, that's
What
so
happened?
rude. No, I said, I'm like, that makes me uncomfortable. You have your sunglasses. It's kind of rude. Like, why don't you, like, you meet up with me and then it's like you have sunglasses on. Like, what are you, pakul ka ba? Like, so, but when he took it out, I was like, oh my God,
He had
what
a black eye?
happened? He had a black eye.
Oh
So
man.
he got mugged. So because he's what do you call it? He's half Irish, Canadian. So he's really white. So when
I'm Irish.
oh, you're Irish. So it was obvious that he's not from here,
Right.
and somebody tried to talk to him anyway. So he was tricked and whatever, and then he got mugged.
That's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. Like he was a police officer. He's still a police officer in Canada, and he's never been injured like that. And he comes here as a tourist, and now
Gets injured.
yeah. So he was embarrassed to see me, and then I felt so bad because I had to tell him that when he said like, I picture myself having a family with you, having grandkids, and I had to tell him like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
So that was
tough. But and then at that time, were you already like set on living here? Was
no.
You were still on vacation mode.
I was still. It was one of those. I'm just trying. At that time, I was like 1 year here.
Yeah. So you
But
kind of gave yourself like a timeline. Like
No,
it wasn't. I'm gonna give myself a year.
no.
Okay.
It was like I was going with the flow.
Okay.
And I've always been like I have a planner. I've always
Yeah,
been
yeah.
somebody with a plan.
Yeah. That's why
And
I'm surprised.
That was a time I didn't have a plan. I was just staying here, just whatever.
Was this just like a risk? Like, were you just taking a risk? Would you attribute that to like being young Mara and just being like, whatever happens, kind of happens? Because that's how I ended up here. I kind of felt that way.
At that time, I don't know what I was thinking.
And that's what I said too, because I was literally like, I'm going to buy a ticket. I had like 3,000 US saved up, and then I moved to the Philippines. And I was like, when the plane landed, I was like, what am I doing?
I think I had about the same, and to a point that when I decided to stay, I had 40,000 pesos left in my bank account.
So you had even less than I did.
By the time that I decided to stay.
Oh, okay.
So after a year, when I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna move, I'm gonna get my own apartment. I have 40,000, and I had to make it work with 40,000 pesos. And it's not like I had, my parents are there, and I don't ask them for money.
Same.
So it's not like, Mom, I'm gonna stay penge. No. So I had to figure it out, and everything just started coming. I got really lucky. Like I'm blessed by the universe. Opportunities came. So, but it was what was the hardest was leaving my brothers behind.
Your brothers,
I
yeah.
had two brothers.
Two brothers.
One.
You guys close, like with both, like
You
both
know,
of them?
we were close, but then when I stayed here, I guess it's also out of guilt. I stopped talking to my brothers when I got here because I knew that it was gonna guilt me to go back.
Right.
But for some reason, I just wanted to stay. And Yeah, that's why now I want to go back home twice a year.
Yeah, I know you just went home, right?
Yes.
Like not too long, few months ago or something
Yes.
like that.
I got back January, and so now it's March.
How long had it been since you went home?
2018 or 2019. So that was
wow.
Yeah,
7-ish, 8
I didn't
years.
realize because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
so last year,
the time is weird after pandemic.
It was, I couldn't believe it was that long. But I went home twice last year. One for 10 days, and then this time I was there for like 5 weeks.
Okay, so it was much longer.
Longer.
Was it weird being? Do you still consider Canada, like Toronto, home to an extent, or like, because I was about to say, how did it feel going home after 7 years? But then, like, you call Manila, like you call Philippines home.
Yeah,
I feel the same
home.
thing. Yeah.
I like how my family, like when I got back there, my pictures were still there, my stuff still there at the same spot. So that was nice of them. So when I come back, I still have my things there.
It's like you never left. In a way.
Ish. Yeah. So I like that. But yeah, I'm making it a goal to go back twice a year because I realized, okay, so last time I went there was 7 years ago, for instance, right? If I go home every 7 years, and if my dad is like 67, my mom is 65, and they're going to turn a year older this year. If, let's just say, like, okay, let's say they have 15 years, 20 years to live, and I'd be happy if they live until 87. And I only see them once every 7 years. How many times is that? That's like 3 times in 20.
In their life that
right.
they have.
If I go back home only just 7 years, I'm only going to see them 3 times. When you put that into perspective, even though you think, oh, I have 20 years with my parents, for instance.
Yeah.
But you don't visit them that much because you think they're always going to be there.
Yeah.
And 20 divided by 7, right?
Yeah.
That's only almost 3. That's not enough.
Yeah.
And that put things into perspective. That's like, no, I want to spend more time with my parents. And I was telling my mom also recently, like, Mom, where do you want to go for a vacation? Let's go while you can still walk far. While you can still enjoy long walks, but then, she says she's busy. I'm like, no, Mom, you have to make time. I want to spend more time with her, and I want to be able to take her out because now that because even though I've been here in the Philippines for 15 years, did I really get to spoil my parents? No, because I don't really get to see them that much.
Yeah.
I want to take them on vacation. I want to buy them stuff. So I made sure that when I went to Toronto this time around,
you did that.
Everything that they said they wanted, like I even eating out, if I hear I like this, let's go eat there. And my mom, my mom was like, when I retire, maybe I'll get myself a Canada Goose jacket. And Canada Goose is considered to be like expensive there. And I'm thinking, why do we need to wait until you're retired? And so the day that I was leaving, I got her a Canada Goose jacket. I left it in her bed and she was really happy. And I made sure it's like, the one that covers her knee. Cause I'm like, Mom, this is going to be your jacket in the next like 10 years. It's going to last you 10 years. And I want it to cover your knees. She thought it was too long. So that way the cold air won't touch her knees. So it'll keep her knees warm.
Keeps her knees warm, basically.
Yeah.
It feels great to be able to like kind of, in a way, spoil your parents. Like I've done the same thing because, like you, I didn't ask my parents for support or help when I especially when I moved here. My dad's idea was always his job as a parent, and my parents were, we're gonna get you to 18. And that's our job. Like from 18, like you can. And
you're
this
an adult.
This is kind of the American
North American
way.
Yeah,
North American way. And then I remember very similar to your story when because they've, at least in my case, my parents do come visit the Philippines like multiple times a year because they have they have a house here and everything. And I think eventually they'll retire. They're around the same age as your parents. And I remember the first time I was actually able to just kind of be like, I want to take my parents to a nice place to eat. And so I took them to like a Michelin restaurant to like treat them. And, it just felt really nice to be able to do that for your parents.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's similar to what you just explained.
And one thing I realized was, because I've always been that girl that what my boyfriend wants, my boyfriend will get. So if I'm able to pour everything out and spend on my boyfriend and whatever and give him gifts, I should be able to do times 10 to my parents.
Yeah.
So that's, dun ko bubuhos lahat ngayon, like my family. So that's what I decided. And so yeah, now all my goals, 2025, I was able to do them. I got a list of stuff. Like I had, so I made like a really detailed planner. And that, I think that's one of the things that helped me change my life
This
last
is a physical
year.
planner. Like similar.
Digital.
Okay, I've seen your digital. I've seen glimpses of your digital planner.
Yeah.
Then, so
I called
digital.
it a mindful living.
Yeah.
And I had a wish list.
Yeah.
So wish list was divided into 3 sections. One is like what the places that I want to experience, travel, go to. Okay. Another is skill that I want to learn. I didn't achieve that. It was cooking.
You don't know how to cook?
I don't know how to cook. I
don't know how
didn't
to cook?
achieve that. Yeah. And
Air
then,
fryer. No,
yeah, air fryer. I can do
yeah.
air fryer. And then third was list of stuff like DJI Osmo 3.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I divided into 3. So I'm more clear about what I want to get. Wish list. It's basically my wish list. And in terms of travel, I was able to go to all of them. So now my main wish list is to go home at least twice a year.
Yeah, and that's a journey for those that don't know. Like Manila to, is it a direct flight or is it 2?
You can direct flight.
can.
It's so expensive though. It's
it
like
is.
a 16 hour or 16 and a half.
So it's probably similar to
For direct.
going to the U.S.
Yeah.
Especially expense wise and everything.
If it's not direct, the fastest I think is 21 hours.
21 hours. Yeah.
with the stopover. But now you know what I'm gonna do the stopover to save
Save
40K. Yeah.
Because in your mind you're like, I could spend this 40K on treating my parents or like doing something
Exactly.
else or like, you know, something there.
Exactly.
I'm the same way, but I only get to go to usually the U.S. because my sister's still there, her family's still there, and of course my other family is there. So I only get to go there once a year, and similar to you, I was like, I really want to make that effort to go there once a year. But I think if you've never really gone to, let's say, that part of the world from the Philippines or Asia in general, it's like it's such an undertaking to like travel there, prepare for it, and honestly, you want to make it sulit. Like you want it to be worth it because the last time I went there, I only got to stay for a week, and that was not
That was
like
so short.
yeah. So like your 5 weeks that you just
5
did,
weeks. But the first time was 10
days.
10 days earlier in the year,
Yeah.
like around this time.
yeah, which I'm sure 10 days you're like, I should have stayed longer.
Yeah, but I couldn't because I had work.
Same. I had work.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know, and I completely get that. And, you know, moving to after where you are now with your goals of going home and everything else, I want to talk a little bit about like maybe the struggle a bit that you had with the identity over those 15 years here. Because, yeah, like you mentioned, you are full Filipina. You were born here, but then you essentially grew up most of your life in Toronto until that chapter of your life here. So, because I talked about this in the last episode, trying to be someone who is learning this side of me, like my Filipino side, but just being so like American because I grew up a lot of my years in America. How was that for you? What kind of struggle did you have, I would say, in terms of like identity when you moved to the Philippines and you chose to like stay here?
I wasn't as relatable in a sense that, like, you know, I had an accent. I came from Canada. So when I came here, it's like I didn't really, I wasn't really Filipino because I came from somewhere else and I didn't have the Filipino culture and understanding and like, you know, the habits and I wasn't cultured enough here. But then even when I was there, I wasn't really quite Canadian. Because I remember when in elementary school, I was like, there's only 2 Asian people in the class.
That's like me.
Yeah, and there's all Italian.
Yeah.
They're all Italians and in my school. So coming in here, it was like, you know, hindi ko gets yung mga stuff that's happening here.
Yeah.
And then even though I learned, so that's why I also wanted to learn Tagalog, so I'm more relatable and people would open up to me more. But even then I had a twang, right?
Yeah, you had the Canadian
So
twang.
I had to get rid of it.
It still comes out once in a while though, doesn't it?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Just sometimes when I say like, I had to change the way I say about. Because now, because before I would say about. So sometimes it would come out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would come out. So yeah, I wasn't quite, so it's like that identity of I wasn't quite Filipino because I didn't know the culture at that time. But at the same time, I don't have, like, you look mixed.
Yeah.
So they know that you're AFAM. Right?
Some people actually don't. Like they still think I'm pure foreign. Like
yeah,
pure.
you
know.
look foreign, but I'm so Asian.
Yeah, you looked like you were
I looked Filipino until I opened my mouth. So it's like you're not quite Filipino, but you're not quite foreign. Like you're not Canadian. You look Filipina.
Yeah.
So that was the identity, like,
kind of crisis.
Yeah.
In a way where it's like, where do I put myself?
yeah. Because when I was in Canada, I would say no, I'm Filipino. I would say I'm Filipino.
Yeah.
When I was there, I wouldn't say I'm Canadian. Like nobody ever says they're Canadian. Like, they would say what where their parents are from, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then I come here and it's like, no, you're not Filipino. Parang ganun yung nandito. No, hindi ka Pinoy. Like, yeah, I am.
Yeah. So did you, like, was the biggest way to tap into that identity was just the language then, like learning Tagalog? Was that the biggest, like, thing you needed to accomplish in order to feel more Filipino?
I also made sure that I lived in this place. I had a choice to live with my uncle who lived in this nice neighborhood where politicians live, and like, you know, before you go in, you have to leave your ID. They have to call the home. They're so strict. Or live with my aunt, and it was I remember in that area, yung iba nga may hold-uppers, like yung snatchers, may snatchers, and then may mga tanod walking around at night, and people would like drink every night and like outside. And I chose to live with my aunt because I felt like this is the culture I wanted.
This is the experience.
Yeah, and then I remember like I would wake up to somebody always cussing every morning, like "Piyay mo," like always cussing at their, and this is their kid.
Yeah,
this is their kid, and they're telling their kid "Piyay mo," and I'm thinking, isn't she cussing at herself? Because that's her kid. So it was more like hindi namang magulo, pero and I when I lived there, I made friends with barangay captains. Ano ba siya? Pamangkin? Or at that time, yung lola pa pala yung barangay captain. So I would go there and people found it weird na, because I didn't speak Tagalog at the time. I would shake everyone's hand. Hi, I'm Mara. Hi, how are you? What's your name? And people found that weird because apparently nobody does that here.
Yeah.
To introduce yourself one by one. And where I grew up, it's common courtesy that when you go somewhere, you shake everyone's hand and you find out their name and you introduce yourself, and that's the proper way.
Yeah.
And in here, people were shocked. And some people actually, even not in that area, people found like, what is she doing?
Yeah.
Like people thought I was trying hard.
Yeah.
I remember some of the girls didn't like it, and I'm thinking, but I'm trying to be polite. Anyway, so and they couldn't speak English that well.
Yeah.
Dun saan. It's called tanggera, where you, because they would drink, and I'm the one pouring the drink for them.
Yeah.
And then we would play tong-its. And that's how I got to know everybody. And that's also how I got to learn Tagalog.
So you really embedded yourself into the culture that way.
Yeah. And my first best friend, his name is Kim. He became my best friend here. So every time, and I remember I didn't want to take a taxi. I wanted to take the Jeep.
You took the Jeep?
I took the Jeep. And
how was your experience with the first Jeep?
I loved it. Nung umpisa, syempre, it was like a new experience, you know? And I made sure that I sat near the driver, and I wanted to be the one pag nagsabi na bayad po.
Like you took the
I wanted to be that one.
And
like
then gave it to the driver.
Give it to me. I'm gonna give it to the driver, and then I'm gonna wait for the driver to like give back the sukle, the change, and that was fun for me at that time. Until, you know, eventually it's like, oh man, this is hot.
Yeah.
It's sticky. And the one beside me, parang may
amoy.
It's
the jeepney, like, I mentioned this on my last episode too. My first experience, because I said the same thing. I was like, I really want to learn how to take transportation, like public transportation. And I didn't have anyone guiding me. I just jumped on a Jeep, not realizing that the signs in the front tell you where they go. And I was like, well, I'm sure I'll figure it out. And I jumped on the Jeep, and then it was actually going to turn the wrong way that I was supposed to go. And I didn't know how to say stop. So I jumped out of the
snap.
Jeep.
Oh my God.
While it was moving.
Oh my God. And good thing nothing happened to you.
Nothing happened to me, but I was just like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that again.
Yeah. I wanted to actually be, but my aunt said, no, don't do it. Yung, anong tawag doon? Yung tatayo, when you stand behind the jeep, when you're hanging.
Oh, when you're outside of it?
Yeah, and you're hanging. I wanted to do that. So it was like a whole experience for me. But it wasn't even like that. The biggest thing wasn't that it was like really hot, because it gets really hot sometimes, or that the person like stinks. It wasn't that. It was a safety, because some people just sometimes reach in and they pull your earrings. And they pull your stuff.
Yeah.
So yun yung, there was a rule that I couldn't go to the jeep alone. So my best friend Kim would have to come with me. And I tried everything, the tricycle, the pedicab. But yung pedicab, I felt so bad I couldn't believe that they get paid less and they're using
their feet, basically, like a bicycle.
Yeah, tapos sometimes like they're much older and I would feel really bad. And then, so some, like, don't ask for change na lang. I even wanted to do the, yung sariles, sa like the train tracks, and then they push, but that's the one that was forbidden to go to because hindi daw talaga safe.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've only seen one of those here.
I used to take the train, like the PNR.
You used to take that?
But it's actually nice. But apparently long time ago, because it wasn't air conditioned and it was just like the bars, if you pass by certain houses, they play like nagtitrip sila that they would pour a bucket full of urine and they would splash it
train.
Or sometimes they would be like feces and then they would splash it. And but by the time that I started taking it, it's all air conditioned now.
Yeah.
But I wanted to that's part of the
culture,
experiencing
like
the culture. It wasn't until what year that I used to commute a lot. But then there was a time that I didn't like it anymore because I got grabbed. Like somebody grabbed my butt. Like violently grabbed it. As in, like, grabe yung grab na it hurt. Tapos pagka, because the train was and then he did it just in time that it was about to close. Tapos hindi ko alam which one. And I was so pissed. I was like, I felt like, oh my God, who is that?
Yeah.
So yun yung time na I was just fed up na I don't wanna.
So then what did you end up, what was there at the time? What was the alternative at the time? Was there Uber yet?
There wasn't Uber yet. Taxi.
Yeah,
there was no Grab yet. There was no.
Because Uber was first, I remember.
Yes.
And then Grab eventually came through.
I even tried eating sa street
foods and.
Because my favorite was isaw, but then I would get diarrhea. Kasi minsan hindi malinis.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that some vendors don't
clean it properly.
Because I thought it was just like a common courtesy that everything was clean. So I tried everything.
What was your favorite?
Well, I couldn't wait. Before that, I'll tell you what I didn't like. Yung Betamax.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I didn't know that it's blood.
Yeah.
It's all blood. I was like, whoa, what?
But it's like a cube, right?
It's in a cube.
It's like
in a stick. And then they fry it.
Yeah.
Nagulat ako, like blood? People eat the blood? Yeah, that was shocking.
Yeah.
But isaw was my favorite. Like I would crave for it. And then sometimes like at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's not even wake up at 4 o'clock. I stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning and I would wait for the bakery, the panidero, like the pandesal place. And I would wait. I remember waiting outside and there's a bench and it smelled so good. You would smell the bread and you could smell how sweet it is. And then when you get it, it's so hot na nakakapas, so it kind of burns you. And then when you open it, it's like marshmallow bread because of how soft it is. Because it's
freshly
fresh.
baked.
It's fresh. Yun ang mga, my first year here, I really loved it. I really loved it. And good thing, like, because I lived in the area and they knew my aunt, nobody bothered me. Like, I didn't, walang snatcher or anything.
Yeah, it's, I think my favorite was, I remember finding this in college. It was pan de coco. It still is, yeah. And it's funny because when I go back when I visit my parents' place, which is... that area is really where I spent a lot of my years here in the Philippines, which is like the Las Piñas, like south area. And that bakery that I used to go to during college is still there because it's like a family owned. Oh yeah,
you went to college here. You're lucky. I actually wanted to. That's one of the things I wanted to do.
You went to college in Toronto?
In Toronto. And I was actually thinking during that time that I was here, maybe I should study here so I could feel like I'm part. I thought that was one of the ways to be part of the culture. But I wanted to be a lawyer, but then it was gonna take like another how many years? I'm like, screw that.
Yeah. It was my college experience where I met I would say the group of people or the individuals that really embedded me into the culture. Because before that, when I was talking about this in the previous episode, was my early years where I was in a completely different side, the modeling industry, which is not yeah, which is not Filipino at all. Like, I mean, it's really not, like, it's a different life. And then when I decided to save up enough money to go to college, it was those people.
That's how you saved up.
That's how I put myself through college.
Wow, you did modeling. And you know what? You're lucky because you got your set of friends that way.
Yeah. And I'm still friends with like those people today. Mm-hmm. And so I was going to ask you, because you mentioned that you got kind of lucky as well, like your first couple of years here.
Yeah.
But like opportunities. What were some of the, like, one or two of the opportunities that presented itself for you?
I clearly remember. Oh, it was hard making friends. That was one of the hardships, actually. Not just the language. It was making friends. The opportunity, how did that start? Because I remember I asked my aunt, Tita, what's the average pay here? Mm-hmm. Sabi niya, to be a manager, it was like 40.
Yeah.
Right? Sabi ko, 40. So I was calculating Canadian. And then you have to work like 6 days a week, 5 days a week. And I remember telling my aunt, no, I want the opposite. I want to have 5 days off and 2 days work.
Yeah.
And then my aunt said, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Because like it was unheard of for in that work, right? And then that's exactly what I got. Exactly what I manifested. I got work, 2 days work and 5 days off. It was trippy because it was the exact same amount that my aunt and I were talking about.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Things just aligned. I did events modeling. How did that happen?
I kind of did that too then.
Yeah. I never met you.
No. I've made. How funny would it have been if we were in the same area?
Yeah, right.
I don't know if you know this, but there's two friends of mine now that Bindi and Jamie. They were in the same like areas that I was when I was in that time. We just didn't know each other, and we know mutual people.
Interesting.
From that time, and it's just funny because. Yeah, I kind of did like events modeling for certain stuff too. I did a whole bunch of different stuff, but that was like a sector that I had in for a while that I was doing.
I don't remember how I landed
Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah. I actually have no idea how I landed that. I don't remember how, but that's one of the lucky part of it. And then during that time when I was doing that, one of the girls' agents said, you talk a lot. Come audition for this. Yeah. And it was, I've told this story before. I thought it was music because they said VJ, and it ended up being for sports.
Okay.
And then that's how I started.
This was your entry into
for basketball.
Was it always basketball?
I was a sportscaster first. So I was like saying basically it's like a VJ, but saying the news for sports.
Yeah.
I did that, and then I did NCAA, then D League, PBA. I got a game show in the PBA. So that was the
main was
direction.
PBA.
Yeah. I was offered for like certain shows. Like somebody asked me if I wanted to do artista, but at that time I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Because I thought like to be an artista you have to cry and slap each other. So that's what I thought. And at that time I had no desire to be like famous. Or anything. Yeah. So I wanted to stick to reporting because I thought, it's low key.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I got really lucky.
That's so far from like what you had in Toronto, like your financial path that you were supposed to go on in Toronto.
So
and then
different.
You end up in PBA.
Yeah, I did different jobs. I did a lot to pay for college back in Toronto. There were times I would work like 3 different shifts in a day. I was a waitress.
I was too. I did the same thing. I did 2 jobs before I moved out here.
People think that we're rich. We're not because we speak English. But no, dude, like one of my side duties was throwing out the garbage. Yeah. And cutting the vegetables.
Yeah, I was a waiter and a smoothie maker. Basically.
I was in the pantry cutting the pies and making salads.
Yeah.
That's one of my jobs. No, that's why when I first came here and I found out people's parents paid for their school, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like
same.
my dad's birthday present for me, and it was a huge deal. He paid for one semester.
Yeah.
And that was like, whoa, my dad paid for one semester. Wow. Thank
Yeah.
you, Dad.
most people, and this was relative to why I decided to move to the Philippines, was because I didn't want to go into student debt.
Student loan. I
Yeah,
did student loan.
Yeah.
I did student loan. That's why I worked so much, because in Toronto, in Canada, you have 6 months, no interest. And after 6 months, interest kicks in. And sometimes, people who went to school for like 4 years and such, they're still paying off their loan even 3 years later because the interest is so high.
Yep.
So I made sure that after I graduated, in that 6 months, I took every single shift, any odd jobs, everything that was offered to me, so I wouldn't have to pay interest.
Yeah. That's probably the best way to like handle that amount of debt, because like I would say most Americans especially still have like even 5+ years after they graduate, they're still paying off their debt some 10 years ahead. And that's what heavily influenced my decision to like move out here. Also because I'm a dual citizen. I know you are too, I think, right?
Yeah, I had to, coming in here, I had to get my Filipino citizenship, because at that time it was just Canadian.
Okay.
And so I had to come here, and I spoke to my uncle, who is an immigration lawyer, and he helped me get my Philippine passport, just so you don't have to pay, because you have to pay to stay.
Yeah.
Or
There's
otherwise
like
you have to keep going out of the country, right?
Yeah.
So for you to not have to leave, then you have to get your Filipino citizenship. So now I'm dual.
Yeah, because I remember when we've traveled for esports events in the past, like you and I both had 2
Yeah.
passports.
Yeah, I know, it's so convenient because we didn't have to pay travel tax.
No travel tax, which they're getting rid of, I think.
Good,
now. They should.
good.
Finally, I would say, after all
Some
this
countries
time.
don't have that.
Yeah,
like,
that's why when I heard about travel tax here, I was like, what do you guys pay? What?
money
Like,
making.
yeah, I was like, you're paying travel tax?
Yeah,
but
money making.
I don't know. It's
And our airport's not even nice. It's like one of the worst ones.
I think it is one of the worst ones in the world.
It's one of the worst ones.
the worst, yeah.
My gosh, like when we went to Indonesia, Indonesia was so nice.
Yeah.
Their airport was like,
Even the Bali airport. Like you went through there too, right?
I went to Bali. I went to
Yeah,
Bali.
you went to Bali shortly after I was there.
Yeah.
The Bali airport impressed me because I was like, dude, this looks better than our international airport. I was like, what?
Kawawa yung what I found was, okay, went to Indonesia, for example, because Indonesia's, people compare, they say Philippines is the same as Indonesia.
Yeah.
But Indonesia is like next level. It's
Yeah,
more
it is.
advanced, and they have like a shuttle, the train shuttle from one airport to another. And if you're going to the Philippines for the first time, you won't know that Terminal 1, 2, 3 are
Like different.
and they're like how many kilometers apart. That if you have a connecting flight, there's no train to get you from one to another. I think maybe there's a shuttle, but it's faster to take a bus. Grab.
Grab, yeah.
But then because of the traffic, you could actually be late for your connecting flight. So, and just there are like unnecessary,
A lot of nuisances.
unnecessary process. I mean, I love my country, but there are a lot of systems that I do not agree with.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why the Philippines is so beautiful, but what's happening to our tourism? Because they don't make it convenient for tourists.
Yeah. We at the birthday party you mentioned earlier, we were actually talking about that at the table. The main, because I think it was Casey Bay and Sharizawa that brought this up, but it was like they were talking about the cost of travel domestically in comparison to international
yes.
travel. Leaving the country is like insanely different, and it's really affected the tourism here in the Philippines.
And that became an issue recently, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do, and I hope they change it because Philippines is beautiful. Like, yes, we went to Bali, and Bali's beautiful, but Philippines, the beach, the sand,
it's all here.
It's all here. We have it.
Yeah.
We just need to make it more tourist friendly, accessible. We
Especially
need
to the locals.
Yeah.
I feel like for locals, like for Filipinos, like they always want to. I feel like in some areas, especially like for example, like Siargao, I think a lot of people are outpriced.
It's so expensive.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Siargao
I
because
haven't been in a while, but I've heard.
the thing is, like, okay, if I were to compare the plane ticket to Siargao, and then it's the same plane ticket to experience another country,
Yeah.
I end up choosing the other country
Yeah.
because and it actually ends up being cheaper. Like the food is cheaper
Food,
there.
accommodations.
And even seriously, like living here, it's actually pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in North America paying North American prices for food.
Yep.
If you go to like, syempre BGC and stuff, but it shouldn't have to be because we're supposed to be paying according to the economy, according to the...
Yeah. Yeah. Inflation has really affected the Philippines, especially because, you go to the grocery store now and it's like whatever you could buy for 2,000 pesos before is like half of, what you can get now for 2,000 pesos. And it's funny because like, that was my question to you is, we talk about loving this country. We've made it, both of us have made it our home. Do you 100% feel like the Philippines is your home then? Like, what was that time when it felt like home? 'Cause I feel like that could be different for everybody.
When did I start feeling like it's home?
Was it just a number or was
I
it?
remember, okay, so when I went back to Toronto and I thought, at that time, I've been living here for 8 years. And then I decided to go back. And I actually worked there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to like move there. I got a job. I was a TV host for Omni TV. I was working... It was Blue Jays. I was covering Blue Jays. And then I had some commercials and whatever. I remember I was living with my parents and not liking the fact that I did not have my own condo. And like, it's nice to live with my family.
Yeah.
But of course, if you've been used to living alone for the past 8 years, and then now you don't live alone, and then that's when I went back here because I missed my condo. And it's like, I guess Philippines is now my home.
Yeah.
Because when I wanted to go back, because I have everything set here, that's when, so Philippines is my home because now I have a home there. Like I have my own place.
Yeah.
Because in Toronto, it's so expensive.
Yep, that's true.
It's so expensive. Like, and even to get insurance for your car, I didn't drive because insurance for your car, what you have to pay, equivalent to pesos, monthly, you would have to pay maybe like almost like 15,000 pesos just for car insurance monthly.
Yeah.
That's monthly.
Yeah.
So I think it was that time when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go back to the Philippines. I am not gonna continue. I remember telling my work that I'm gonna go back, and they said, "You're gonna still be here for next season, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll come back." And then I had to email them and say I won't come back. And it was, you know what? Probably would have been promising because I remember they had plans to put me like on the bus station.
Yeah.
And have my
Like a billboard thing, or
like on the bus station.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the Blue Jays Pinoy edition. Like
Gotcha.
It was going to that direction.
Yeah.
But
and that ended up not happening because you.
I left.
Yeah. So that was a time that you felt like it was home. Was there a time before that or even after that you almost felt like quitting or like?
Oh yeah.
That you would say whether it was a relationship, whether it was work related.
Oh yes.
Like was there
both times? Both.
Okay.
Both. First, relationship. And that's probably okay, again.
This would be here, right?
This would be here. So I'm here.
Okay.
So I'll tell you the reason why really I went back to Canada. To Canada. I'm getting confused now. I had another boyfriend.
In Canada?
Here. And
Okay.
we've been together at that time for like 6 years at that time.
Okay.
We were like, yeah. And I couldn't break up with him.
Just like you couldn't in Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but it was a really, like, it was a gambler.
Yeah.
Like I lost everything. Like he was just like a really bad gambler.
He was an actual gambler.
Like addicted gambling to a point that every gift that he gave me, I had to give it back.
Gotcha.
And all my savings gone. Like I literally had to start again from 20,000 pesos because everything I gave, like I had to start again. It was so stressful.
And that was 6 years?
And well, technically we kind of got back together.
Yeah, like
it was like 7. It was like 7.
Okay.
Anyway, it was like 7. And even though it was really toxic, I couldn't get myself to fully leave because I was like, my belief was like Bonnie and Clyde through thick and thin.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the flaws are. But I knew I
We
was.
got this.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was like, this is not. I need to physically be away from you for me to not go back. So I left. That's actually the big reason why I went back, and also thinking like, I need to be with my family because I'm losing myself with this person.
Yeah.
It was bad, and you very possessive also. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't have friends.
That's what that whole saying with like, isn't love enough? And like the real wise answer is no, love isn't always enough.
Love isn't enough because sometimes you think it's love, but really it's codependency. It's addiction to this person or to that life.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, you love the person, but sometimes it's deeper than that, right? Like internal issues of, because going back to that, it would be enough if you love yourself because you wouldn't put yourself in those situations.
But at the time, you don't know that.
Yeah.
Because, and I think it's experiences like that that you learn to actually like love yourself.
Yes. After. So because of that, I wanted to leave the Philippines, and I did for a year.
Yeah.
But then when I went back there, I had to start fresh. And anyway, so when I went back there, that's the reason why I'm like, I want to just, and it was just, I felt like I didn't have the right friends. I didn't have the right support system.
Yeah.
Because there were things that I was going through.
So you started over completely almost.
And I was struggling internally because of this person. And I was craving for that tribe, like somebody to save me. And so I felt the need to be closer to my family again.
And that's what that year was in Canada.
Yes. I wanted to be with like, the family because I know they care about me.
Yeah.
They care for my well-being. So I went back home to feel safe again. And then there was a family reunion by December. So I went back for the reunion and I didn't go back to Canada. So that's what happened.
It kept you there. It kept you there. Okay.
Yeah. And then an opportunity again presented itself.
Yeah. Was this manifested as well, or?
Was it? A lot of the things that I have.
I know you're big on manifestation.
I know.
We could probably have a whole separate episode about manifestation alone.
Very, very. Everything I asked, even my condo, everything that I asked for, even the way I got my place, it was all manifested exactly the way I said I wanted it.
Yeah.
Right. And I ended up getting another job, and it was 3x3, and 3x3 blew up in the Philippines. It was Chicks to Go, and I became a courtside reporter there as well, and I became like the host there. And there was that opportunity, and I did world tour with FIBA. So that was great. And that's what ended up
leading to
Olympics, and that was manifested also.
I was saying because you did Olympics a few years ago.
It was for 2020 because of the pandemic. It was delayed 2021, but even though it was held 2021, we still called it Tokyo 2020 Olympics.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. So it was being a sportscaster. It's like the highest level. It's like to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And it was manifested, but it wasn't in the way I wanted because there was no audience.
Yeah.
So how do you, before there was supposed to be limited audience, but then when we were there, they declared, what is it? I forgot what it is, state of something that no one is allowed to go in anymore, but it wasn't supposed to be that way. Anyway, so I ended up going to the Olympics, and then I landed in esports, and then and then another time that I wanted to give up also was I wasn't happy with the way things turned out with my other work. And I felt like
you wanted to just
I wanted to leave.
else.
Yeah, because
did you almost want to go to Toronto again?
Yes.
Really?
Because I felt like I poured my heart and soul into this, and I didn't have good leaders, and I was so heartbroken. I quit. I left another job.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like it turned out not so great.
Yeah.
And so I had to leave.
You took some time when you did leave? Did you take a little break? Like
I took a little break.
It was like a couple months, if I remember right.
It was 3 months.
3 months. Yeah.
It was 3 months.
Did you go home in that time? No. Or did you travel?
I did for that 10 days.
Oh, so that was a 10-day trip.
That was a 10-day trip.
You seem to go to your family a lot when you need that,
Yes.
Which is great.
No matter what, it's really your family. Like I was lucky enough that my family's that way. That I can go back to them and they welcome me and there's no pressure at all.
Yep.
So that felt good.
My family's done the same for me. Yeah.
I had to start over. And there was a moment that I thought I was gonna quit a certain industry because it was just so
Yeah.
And like quitting was, when I quit, I had to really make a decision. But sometimes even like, when you don't have good leaders, sometimes
it leads you astray basically, you know. And so during those times too, would you say that, because I know you mentioned this, and I'm assuming you probably had different relationships throughout that time. You mentioned not to make your partner, or in that case, your boyfriend.
Oh yeah, that was my biggest lesson.
Is that, I was going to say, was that your biggest lesson from all those relationships during all that time?
My biggest lesson was to invest in yourself and not put everything on someone else. Because I was so codependent, and it was like that Bonnie and Clyde, right? Even though you're toxic, even though like you're bad for me, I'm going to stick with you because I commit, because I chose you. I chose you. I decided to be with you. So no matter what, I'm going to make this work. And that's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
That's not reality.
It is a fairy tale.
It's a fairy tale. That's not reality at all. Like that's not what you should do.
Yeah.
I had this, and I was so proud of it at that time. What one boyfriend wants, my boyfriend will get. But it was at the cost of what? Myself, my sanity, my life, my everything.
You're like setting yourself on fire.
Yeah. And I remember like that gambler, he didn't even want me to hang out with my girl best friend.
So you were like secluded from everything.
I was secluded from everything.
Dang.
So that's why now I even have a habit tracker, and it's like, did you make time for friends?
Yeah, that's good.
Because what ended up happening was I would make my partner my entire world, loyal to a fault, that when that's over, my whole world shatters, and you start questioning, well, now who am I? If I'm not your girlfriend, if I'm not me with this person, who am I? And so that's why I learned in a year and a half, just recently, that I need to invest in my own world, myself. I need to start taking care of myself, and I need to start, taking care in a way that if people ask you, do you love yourself? Automatically people will say, yeah, of course I love myself.
Yeah.
Of course. That's a weird question. But then there are people who say they love themselves, but do they take care of their body? Do they work out? Do they feed themselves the right nourishment? Do they give themselves enough rest? Do they watch the things? Are they cautious of the things that they consume? What about the people around them?
Yeah.
Are the people around them, do they make sure that they're good for them? They're absorbing the right energy. So I know some people that would say no to all of them, but they would say, yes, they love themselves. But it's like, how do you love yourself if you don't even work out, for example? If you don't even work on your body, if you're on your health, is that really loving yourself? And that's why there's that certain, when you see somebody that looks good physically, it demands a certain respect. I mean, look good, like meaning like you can tell they work out.
They take care of themselves.
They take care of them. They work out, like they have the muscles. It demands a certain type of respect because they earned that.
Yeah.
They gained that, not through surgery or anything, right?
Yeah.
So like if you see, let's say, a certain bodybuilder, for example, it demands a certain respect because that took time.
There's certain habits that they're doing.
There's certain
to look
habits,
like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
I had to change my habit. I even had to make a habit tracker.
Yeah.
So I literally made a habit tracker, made a list of things, like did I meditate? Did I write on my journal? Did I drink? Did I water?
Did you hydrate?
Yeah, I even put there lemon water. Did I take my vitamins today? Did I feed my mind? Did I listen to a podcast or read a book? So I put all that aspect in a tracker.
Yeah.
And if I colored most of it, that means I love myself today. I even made a mood tracker.
Oh, so it was like a daily.
It's a daily
thing.
It's a daily thing. People might think it's too much. No, it's not.
But it's what you needed.
And it all goes down to neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
It's building new habits. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to wire and rewire, to make new pathways. To adapt. Because some people go back to their old life because there's that neural pathway that tells you this is the automatic thing to do. This is the pathway. This is the bridge to walk on.
Yeah.
But really, you need to make another bridge because this old bridge leads you to a life.
Self.
Yes, to your old self and a life that you're not really satisfied with.
Yeah.
So for you to start building a life that you actually wake up to and the life that you love, you have to start making new habits. And that new habits will lead you to another bridge.
Yeah.
And that bridge literally leads to that. When I wake up in the morning, I think, oh man, this is the life that I want. And this is the life that I want right now.
I remember we had the conversation about neuroplasticity in the airport of Malaysia. I think it was. I think it was Malaysia when it was like an early morning flight. And I just remember being like, I'm so interested in this topic, but Mara, let me get coffee first. I remember saying that. And then we talked about it. And it was funny because after that conversation, I started looking into it. And that's with what you just explained. That's kind of what I do. I have this thing where like my morning routine is very locked in. It's very standard. And it's very like, basically it's
what are your habits?
It's mind, body, spirit in the morning.
Yes. So, okay. Tell me your habits. I'm curious.
So I've had this almost starting to being developed when I was a kid, because my dad, being a military father, he woke even on weekends, he would wake me and my sister up early in the morning.
You always, I know you as somebody, I thought you were crazy before that you would wake up so early. I'm like, why would you wake up so early? We're in the esports world.
So I still wake up early. And so mornings for me are always, I wake up, I actually do prayer first. So like I work on the spiritual side. I read basically a Bible app. I do my prayers. I get out of bed. I make my bed. Making your bed is a joke with some of my close friends right now, because even my roommates that we've had before, like for certain events, I'll tell them to make their bed, because I'm always just like, you can't have a good day unless you make your bed. Like at least do one thing to start your day off right, and that's make your bed. So I'll make my bed. From there, I'll end up getting ready for the gym. Like I'll have some coffee. I'll run through some emails and stuff that I have to. I'll go get the gym done. And then once I'm done with the gym, actually before I come to work here, like especially now in the studio, before that, I'll eat lunch and read. So that's basically in the morning, that block, those few hours in the morning.
For your
it's
growth.
Basically, spirit, physical, mental.
It's all you.
Worked. Yeah, it's all me. And that's something I had to learn how to tweak over the past year and a half to 2 years.
Yeah.
And then
it takes a while.
It takes a while. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you were brought up the conversation about neuroplasticity, I was like, this is me building these new pathways on how I like my habits and everything else that are leading me to think certain ways. And then it's now a structure. It's your habits that will shape your life. That's why I like finding out about people's habits, because according to your habits, you can tell if the person's going to live the life that they want. Yeah. And a lot of people live the life, they wake up and they're miserable. They're living a life that they don't want. And then you ask them, what are your habits? Of course you're going to live a shitty life. Yeah. Look at your habits. Mm-hmm. You don't have good habits. That's why you're doing things that's not going towards the version of you that you want to be. Yeah. So of course, right? And one key thing also, do you track your mood? So I did. I don't currently, but I did when I was really using the meditation app, because it asks you how you're feeling today. And so I don't meditate daily anymore. I probably do it honestly once a week. Oh, I used to do it daily though. It used to be part of my morning routine. Oh, I love it when you get do you get the tingles? Yeah. And I would do like really deep meditations and stuff like that. But now I don't. It's more so like once a week, once every 10 days, I'll actually like meditate. But other than that, everything else is pretty much structured. I love the mood tracker, and people might think it's silly, but basically every day I put smiley face or like a straight line, like okay, you're okay. It was okay, but it wasn't really a happy day, or a sad face or a crying face, for example, just like the emoji.
and I would track it down. People don't realize like why it's good. For instance, let's say the past 3 days I've been mad and I put the mad face. Then you figure out what made me mad today, because I need to avoid what made me mad. Because if you do it for 2 days, you're building a new habit. That's a new habit. And I don't want the mad face to last 1 week. Or let's say a sad face. You're going through something, right? Sad face, sad face, sad face. And it's like if you don't keep track, you don't realize, shit, I've been sad for 5 days straight. That's not good. And then 5 days turns into a month. Next thing you know, you're depressed.
Yeah.
So I need to, for me, it's also for me to be aware that what contributed to that mood. And I need to avoid or stay away from or do something about it. So tomorrow I won't put a sad face again or a crying face again.
Yeah.
So I like it when I start putting, and you have to be honest. It's not like, no, I need to fake it. No, that's being you real with yourself. Yeah. And then when I put a smiley face, because I also do a gratitude journal. I write down exactly what made that day great, and I want to repeat that. So, for instance, I went to Bali with Casey, and I had the best time. So, a smiley face, smiley face, smiley face for all those days. So I know I like being around Casey. Casey is somebody that makes me feel good. So she's one of the people that if I want to go out, I'm going to invite her. Yeah. Or if I hang out with this person, and every time I hang out with this person, I'm always crying or I'm always sad. Okay, then I need to stop hanging out with this person.
Or figure out why.
Because this person's making me sad or feel bad about myself, right? So it's like...
It's a way for you to like basically understand your previous days and why you're feeling the way you are.
Yeah.
And then adjust like your life or the way you approach those people or things.
It's a way to study your life.
Yeah.
And people analyze other people and study other people or
but
study
themselves.
Yeah, study their company, or like even their content. What made this content do well? Let's say because we're in a content, they study the analytics and why do we have good numbers for this content versus this content? But it's like, why can't you apply the same amount of effort with your life, with your mood? Why can't you study yourself?
Yeah.
So that's one way is like I study myself. That's why I like to bring this all the time.
Yeah, I know you always have like whether it's your digital version or like your book that you have a bunch of stuff in there. I
tried the digital.
Yeah.
I went back to this.
There's people that like the physical, even if it comes to reading, like they like the physical books more because they feel like there's more of like this energy transfer when they're reading or writing, like whether it's writing.
And it's easier to go back.
Yeah.
The digital, it's like scroll.
I'm a digital person. Like
you like
so
it.
Like I'm good.
I like this.
Just like with reading books, like I actually love my Kindle. Like I read on the Kindle way more because I have it than I would for having the physical books. Yeah, it's easier to carry. I can literally carry like an entire library on my Kindle and have something to read. And I think what you're talking about here really is like building these habits. And I think it's so interesting because again, the theme of this season 1 for the podcast is about building and not escaping. But this is also like you building that relationship with yourself, going back to not making your partner your whole life. So it's like you're building these habits or building these things with yourself. So you're not escaping yourself either. So, it's still in line with the whole theme here.
That's one of the things I appreciated about you because you understand my ADD. Like, I jump from one topic to another and you tend to lead me back to where we started because you're a SPED teacher. Yeah. And I remember you were asking me like if I got myself checked.
Yeah.
Because I have all the signs.
It was the easiest way to like ask you without being like, because any special ed teacher can't diagnose. We're not in the line of diagnosing people. But we just observe.
You notice.
And we notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to that, about not my biggest lesson is to not make your partner your everything. You should always come first. Yeah. And then someone else second, because
do you have a hierarchy? Because like mine would, like on that point, mine would be myself, my career, and then my relationship. Like that would be my hierarchy, and myself includes like my relationship with God and stuff like that too. So it's like, do you have anything like that or no? Like
no, but if I were to do that right now, it would be myself, my my career would not be before my partner.
Yeah.
Or my family. It would be after. Even though career is really important, but myself first, like my mental state and my health and such. So that way I'm, a better partner.
Yeah.
But career would come
after the partner. I guess for me, I guess as a man, I see career important because I want to provide.
Yeah.
And I can't provide for the relationship with a partner without taking care of my career. That's why I look at it that way, because I do want to be able to be more of that provider mindset. Obviously, I would want my partner to have her own life and career too, but it's like in order for me to feel, I guess, as much of a man as possible, like I want to have a career that I love and I can help provide for the life that I want me and my partner to have.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good way. I guess with me, if I were to choose, unless something is really important, I guess it would depend.
Yeah.
But I would want to give my partner. You're right. That's a good one.
Yeah, I
That's
put it that way.
a good one. That's a good one.
Because like, and yourself, just like what you explained this, for this whole segment here is like, yourself has to be at top, because that is, spiritual, that is health, that is your wealth, that is everything. You have to come first. And I feel like almost everybody experiences that time where they do put their person on a pedestal and it goes above everything else.
Oh my, that's the word. I used to tell my partner, I put you in a pedestal.
Yeah.
I always would say that. I put you in a pedestal. I did everything for you. And how could you do this to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But you can't. Well, you did that to yourself.
Yeah.
You did that to yourself. And then you feel so lost after.
And that's what puts everyone on the path of like discovering what love yourself means to them. Because I think it does mean something different for everyone.
Yes. And I think also the reason why people put their partner first is that they want to find themselves through that partner.
Yeah.
And that partner, they feel more complete with that partner. Well, in the first place, I think you should enter a relationship that you completed, you've done your inner work.
Yeah.
So that way you don't bleed into that relationship, or you don't blame the other person for not soothing you, for not fixing you. Because I used to, like, for example, when I used to have an argument with my partner, I would get so offended if he didn't make me feel better. And then I had to reflect, and it's like, why did I just depend on someone else to soothe me? And I was upset that they couldn't make me feel better or listen to me in the first place. I should soothe myself, figure out why I'm feeling this way.
Yeah.
And,
to be able to do better as a partner, basically.
Yeah.
And it's all that stuff is, there's so many important topics within that. And I'll probably have you on, I guess, again, eventually when we talk more about that, because those are all important things, though, because they basically allowed you to work on yourself, which then allowed you to get, I feel like, the life that you're really happy with living here. And I think that's the same thing I say is like, I've went through all this stuff in 15 years, and I obviously had a lot of failures along the way, had a lot of successes along the way. And I just felt like that, it's led me to certain opportunities that either I had to go and grab or that just presented themselves to me. And, I wanted to go and ask you this too, to kind of pivot from, you working on yourself and learning to love yourself, because I feel like that would set you up for those moments. And specifically you saying that the Philippines is a land of opportunities. And I think a lot of people, maybe foreigners or people that are thinking about coming to the Philippines or parts of Southeast Asia or wherever they want to move to, they could also say, yeah, is the Philippines a land of opportunity? People think the same thing about the United States. They see the U.S. as...
They say that.
Yeah, they say that.
They say that. I'm not sure if that's...
I
don't know.
But like here, I truly do believe that the Philippines was a land of
Yes.
opportunity for me.
Yes.
And so, you mentioned that too. So why do you say that? And let's also consider the fact that, what about for the people that were born and raised here and the Filipinos here? Is it still a land of opportunity for them?
Yes, I just think that maybe the people that live here, because they're so used to that life here, maybe they have a tunnel vision and they have that limiting belief that this is just the way it is for me.
Yeah.
Right? This is just the way it is for me. And I think that's what limits them.
That saying like, bahala na?
Yeah, or ganito talaga yung buhay eh, ganito talaga. and they don't. But now you would see people that are that I was just watching this thing on Facebook. He lives in a province and he has like 2 point something million followers.
Okay.
Tapos he lives parang he didn't speak English. He's parang Bisaya ata.
Okay.
Tapos he would just the earnings that he would get from social media, he would feed his family. Yun yung content niya. Like parang may pork roast and
he gave back to his family.
Yeah. So who would have thought that somebody who lived in the province, like bukid talaga, as in bukid. Bukid. Tapos the way they cooked, who would have thought that somebody who lives in the province na hindi ganun kaganda yung bahay nila, right? Pero they're doing well now because of social media. So it's really this is a land of opportunity, and the more relatable you are, the more people can support you.
Yeah.
But pero there's also people in the comment section like bashing him, saying
bashers
na parang
haters.
Parang ba't ganyan mo pinapakain yung mga anak mo, nakakahiya kayo para kayong patay gutom.
I think I've seen this. I think I know what clip you're talking about, or like
with 2 kids.
Yeah, with the 2 kids.
With the 2 kids, and I was like, you know what? But there's always gonna be the mga ingetero that
there's always gonna be.
There's always going to be that don't like that you're able to do that and they can't.
I was gonna say, because it's rooted in the fact that they want to be able to do that, you know, and it's like the saying too, and some people agree on this or not, but it's like people want to see you do well, but not better than them.
Yeah, you can do good, but not better than me.
Yeah,
and there are certain people that we know that are like that.
Yes,
yeah.
100%.
There are certain people.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is the land of opportunity in a way that whatever hustle you want to do, you could do it here.
Yeah, I think regardless of if you are a Filipino or you moved here to the Philippines, I think now is the time more than ever that you can grab an opportunity, create something, create content. It's funny, I just actually saw a video too. They were saying that, social media isn't necessarily social media anymore. It's actually like interest media. And because social media started out as a social platform for you to connect with your family, your friends, especially from around the world or whatever, right? But nowadays, and with everything being so algorithm based, the algorithm
is based on your interest.
Our interests. Yeah. So it's like an interest media platform.
There's AI. I predict in the future we're gonna have like a section on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook that human only.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a human only because people get fed up now. Like they can't tell if it's AI or not.
And I'm one of those people, like, well, unless it's like the crazy cat videos, right? Like busting down doors. But there are times where I'm like, man, is this AI or not? And I think, you're 100% right. Because I feel the same way that at some point as well, there's going to be a segment where it's like people are looking for that authenticity and that transparency, that this is a human like content right now in front of me, not AI.
Isn't there like an what is it? That it's all AI? It's like an Instagram, but it's all AI.
Yes, it might be.
I had forgotten what it's called, but it's trying to make me download it, but I'm not downloading it. But eventually we're going to have that. We're going to have a feed and it's going to be mixed with AI. But then there's going to be people, it's like, no, I'm fed up with AI. I just need to see like real human stuff. So we're going to have a thing where you're in the same platform, but you click on it and it's all no AI stuff.
Yeah. Since we're on in social media here, are you someone that really likes social media? Or
oh my gosh,
because I know it's so necessary for our lines of work.
But
would you be offline if you didn't need to have social media?
Yeah, I actually to be transparent, so for the longest time I didn't really work on my social media.
Yeah.
And when I should have, especially when I started in the esports industry, I should have really invested time and should have streamed. It's not until now that I started doing it. And
was it because you just didn't know how, or?
I just wasn't that interested in it.
Okay.
I wasn't that interested. And also I'm trying to be more aware of the content that I consume, because sometimes I end up like scrolling for 2 hours and it's like, darn, that 2 hours I could have been doing something that's feeding my brain, and what did I gain out of scrolling social media? Nothing, really nothing.
Doom
like
scrolling.
My brain got smaller and like, I know, sometimes like last night I have to admit, so those things on Facebook, those it's like an hour and a half, 2 hour mini movies. It's not
Okay.
even a mini movie, it's like a full movie, and it's like bad acting nonsense. But
I don't know if I've seen
it's
these.
so it's like sometimes it's in sometimes it's in another language.
Okay.
And it's really bad acting.
Yeah.
Like for example, Linda Walker. Linda
Okay.
Walker
Yeah, yeah.
scored like 719 on the mock exam, right? So I watched that and I realized, oh my gosh, there are certain things that sometimes you watch and then right after you always tell yourself,
Yeah.
why did I waste my time watching that? So I'm trying to be more aware of that. But so to be that transparent, so for our work, we need to have, we need to post, especially if you're a KOL, key opinion leader
Yeah.
or influencer, content creator, because sometimes we have brands. So I hired a full-time social media person. So she's
editor, everything.
Yes.
Like, okay.
So she helps me. So sometimes she helps me shoot. Actually, I don't like to shoot unless I'm with her. And then she will edit, she will schedule, and she will look at the stats. Because I don't want to look at the stats.
Those analytics.
I don't want to. There are certain people that I know get depressed when they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to put my worth on the numbers because I know I'm more than that.
Yeah, yeah.
Regardless what my numbers are, I know I could feed myself in other ways and host and such, and I don't want to feel ineffective just because a content was not successful.
Yeah.
So being aware of that and having what do you call it? I don't want to get obsessed with it.
Yeah, the numbers, basically. The numbers.
So
yeah.
I hired a social media person.
So she can handle everything.
She's the one who schedules everything.
Okay.
And I just approve.
Yeah.
And then I put a time on when I should reply.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So now there's a schedule because I don't want to be on my phone all day.
Yeah, same.
What did people like it? Did people like my post? Is it effective? I don't want to be like that.
You can it can mess up your mental state too.
Yeah.
Like if you're too much into it, and that's something I had to do as well. Like because I went from almost having not much social media presence at all, but especially when I became like full-time streamer, I had to teach myself how to take those streams, create clips, do all this stuff and everything. And I knew that that was crucial in my success as a streamer, which then carried over to, of course, like being in esports. And then you automatically become a content creator or like I hate the word, but like an influencer, and
We were just talking about that on radio about being influencers, and we can't deny that's in the field.
Yeah, and that's KOL, key opinion leader, is essentially a different word for that, right? So, because I feel almost the same way. It's like it's a necessary thing.
Yes,
at this point.
That's
but
the
if
world right now.
Yeah,
because sometimes I'd also notice like for hosting gigs, right? Sometimes somebody because they don't work on my following, I don't have like that much. Sometimes somebody with, let's say, 2 million followers would get the hosting gig versus me, but then they're not really hosts, but they got it because
they're following.
Because of their following. So I had to realize that, you know what, I need to start working on my social media because that's a way for me to also get more gigs.
Yeah.
Because my esports is not my only thing.
Was this recent or was this related to the clip you talked about where years ago? I just saw this clip. You just
the one you're talking. That was 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
I, at that time, during that podcast, I said 8 years ago, but I was counting. Wait a minute, that was
much
15
longer.
years ago.
Yeah.
That's before I started everything. No, this was something else.
Okay.
That clip was basically my story of how I started, and in the beginning, I really sucked. Like somebody embarrassed me in front of everyone.
Everyone sucks at the beginning,
and said, "She sucks. Get her out of here. I can host better than her." Yeah, that was. And then that was the moment. That was like a turning point in my life where I said, I am never gonna be like that again. And I'm basically had a vision. Like I manifested, I meditated that one day I'm gonna be good. One day I'm not gonna suck. One day I'm gonna be so good that I'm gonna host in front of thousands of people, and I'm gonna be so good. I'm gonna be the standard. I'm gonna win awards. And eventually over a decade later, it did happen. But I wasn't always this way. I sucked.
Yeah.
I sucked. And I had nobody to teach me. Because back then, I used to work in an industry where they would not teach you, like the girls.
Yeah.
If you had like broccoli on your teeth, they won't even tell you.
Because they want you to like be embarrassed or something?
so
or?
they look better. Like there are things like that, and they wouldn't help you, and so I had to learn things the long way. That's why now, even with my co-casters,
Yeah.
things that probably took me 3 years to learn, 5 years to learn, even though it's so simple, I would tell them, I would teach them.
Yeah. You taught us so much. I mean, I was, we worked together for years. I think it was 4 years or something like that. And like, I learned so much from you.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Even just from the caster search, like the caster search, my initial entrance into esports, even if I had not moved forward into the actual professional league from that, I think just those I think it was 2 or 3 days. Like I learned so much from you and like from
that's
everybody.
nice.
But yeah,
Thank
you
you.
covered a lot of things that weren't covered to the technicalities of the game. They were like
It was simple.
It was simple, but
But
crucial.
it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to be remembered by.
Yeah.
I like that. I like hearing that
Yeah.
you led me to the right path or you helped me. Because that time it wasn't a digital world at that time.
Yeah,
So
it's different.
if you missed your show, you can't watch it again. So you can't study yourself. You can't study from your mistakes. So nobody would really tell you. So I didn't learn certain things like, for example, how to stand. Oh, I was moving my head too much or things like that. You're not aware.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make people aware. And I would always, hindi ako madamot. So the things that I learned, I will always share. So you don't have to go through the same things that I did,
Yeah.
the struggles. And instead of you taking 5 years to know this, I'm going to tell you this in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I think what was important about the way that you did that is you would give that advice or you would give those insights in a very specific way that didn't feel like it was, like aggressive or like coming from a bad place. Like it always felt like every time you had something to say or some critique. And I always think that constructive criticism or, that support of that advice is always very helpful in many different ways. And I think that's your delivery, the way you did it is what everybody really appreciates, I think. And to this day, the people you're working with, I'm sure you do the same thing. So it's like, if people get the chance or the opportunity to work with you in a work setting, you get a very different Mara.
Oh, I'm so different at work.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's the work Mara,
I'm so different.
very different from the personal
Yes.
Mara outside.
I take my work seriously.
Yeah.
I like everything to be right.
Yeah.
Because nothing's ever gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
But if you prepare for it, we're as close to it as possible. So, and I have this thing that I don't want somebody to be distracted because your hair is messy. I want them to know what you're about and to listen to your words. But there are some people that will not even hear a word you're saying because you look disheveled. You look,
Yeah.
So let's fix that right now. Because some people weren't aware that their look was so distracting, they're not being listened to anymore. So let's fix it right now so people can actually focus on what you're about.
Yeah.
Because you can't deny it that in our work, it's presentation.
Yeah.
It's not just the content of what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. What's your voice? How are you presenting yourself physically? How's your clothes? How's your hair? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm very big on that. But it's true, like people think, like with social media, right? Because I have 2 personalities. So people, over the years, because I dress a certain way, people think I'm a fashionista. They love what I wear and
All the dresses, all the gowns. all
they
the-
look forward to what I'm gonna wear. But that's not me.
Yeah.
That's not me at all.
Yeah.
I know that's for the job. For you to be effective, you need to present yourself a certain way. I don't dress up. I don't wear heels. And I'm 5'1", so by the time people meet me outside,
In person, yeah.
they get so shocked because I wear 6-inch heels, 5.5, 6-inch heels, and I'm all done up with makeup and whatever. But really, you will never catch me with makeup outside of work.
Yeah.
I don't even do my nails, and that's something that you do that you tell me all the time.
Yeah.
I tried to paint; it's all chipped off now. I don't know how to put on makeup,
Yeah.
and people get shocked when you don't know how to put makeup. No, I hire
You hire a
Hardy.
makeup artist, yeah.
I hire a makeup
You're
artist.
still working with them, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay. So I made a promise to myself that people who are good to me, I'm always gonna take care of them.
Yeah, like they're
So,
along with you for the ride.
Yes,
Yeah.
long-term. I believe in relationships. So Hearty, no matter where I go, I take him with me.
That's great.
So even if, let's say, the talent fee isn't my asking fee, it's a bit lower, I will still get Hearty because I want him to I want him to have the gigs as well.
Yeah.
And I make a promise that pag aangat ako, angat ka din.
And he knows your look and like, you know what I
Yes,
mean?
exactly. So everywhere I go, I bring them. Like even my social media person now, my editor. I brought my editor to Indonesia, and that was her dream to be able to travel for work. So paid for a flight, gave her extra fee and whatever, and so we're able to fulfill our dreams together.
Yeah, that's
so that
great.
way we can be happy together. So anyway, even Hardy, when we have like let's say dinner, like dinner with my boyfriend's family, I have to hire Hardy to do my hair and makeup. Because the only thing I know how to do is blow dry my hair and comb it. I don't know how to curl. I tried to get, I got the air wrap.
The Dyson thing?
Yeah, I got the air wrap. I don't know how to work it. So I still have to call Hardy. And yeah, so it's a different persona. I wear like this is my getup, like
Yeah. Usually you're
joggers and tank top.
athleisure. I mean, you work out constantly too. So, you know.
Just recently.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've always been
I try.
fit-ish.
I tried before, but because I traveled so much this year.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I didn't get to focus on. So this year, I actually just made a theme because I'm big on what's your identity.
Yeah.
Because whatever you identify yourself as, all your decisions will be based on that.
Yeah.
So I just decided
Identity for this year?
who am I?
Okay.
What am I? Who am I? So last year I am blank. So I am blank. Last year I am a learner.
Okay. What are you this year?
So I just I am someone who takes care of herself.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
So
That's what we've been talking about.
yes,
You know,
so
taking care of yourself.
Because last year I focused on my work.
Yeah.
And I was traveling, that I didn't really get to focus on my physical health in terms of. So now what I'm loving my life right now, that you know I work a certain amount, and during like 4 times a week I go to that gym that I told you about, and sometimes I do 2 classes.
That's great. I mean, it's great you have that much time, you know, to be able to do that. Because I think that's also like a privilege to be able to have like that time to do that. And I think that's why if you get to a point where you live the life you want to live, it allows you to have those blocks of time, you know, to have for yourself. And I think that's so important, because that's something me and Wolf talked about on episode 0 was this studio, Manila Podcast Studio, has allowed us to open up a section of our day-to-days that we can give to ourselves now.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've worked really hard on, especially for the past few years. And so with everything that you've mentioned here, Mara, I have to ask, like, if you look back at Toronto, Mara, like before you initially moved out here, and you moved here on a gut feeling, what would you want to tell her now after these 15 years of everything?
Focus on yourself. Build yourself.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat. Focus on yourself. Collect as many talents. Collect as many skills. Spend time learning yourself, not through anyone else. Just focus on yourself. That's what I would say.
That's what you'd say.
So I wouldn't go into certain relationships. I would be single. I would
for as long as you could, or like,
because your relationships take up a lot of your time.
they do, yeah.
They take up. So I that's for me to give advice to the younger me is learn yourself, study yourself before you get into any relationship. So I didn't feel the need to be completed
by someone else.
Yeah, I wouldn't get into that 7-year.
Yeah.
Like 5 years, 7 years. Like, oh my gosh.
By the way, she's in a very we don't have to talk all about it, but you're in a healthy, happy relationship now.
Now I met the nicest guy I've ever met, that I couldn't believe that I was with such a good guy, that there was nothing. I actually got into, I had anxiety.
Yeah, I kind of remember some of this.
Yeah, because I got into this relationship and then nothing was going wrong. There was nothing I need to fix, that I started literally like
looking for.
I was vomiting out of nowhere. I couldn't sleep. I used to tell him, like, I think something bad's gonna happen. I felt like I was gonna get attacked out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And when I started doing self-therapy, I realized that I was in survival mode for so long. It became so normal to be around a toxic environment that I was on high alert all the time. I was on high, and the fact that nothing was happening, it's like being in a jungle.
Yeah.
Living in a jungle, and you know there's always gonna be tigers and leopards that's gonna jump at you at any time, and you have to be on your toes. And then you go somewhere where it's safe, but you think, no, there's going to be a tiger here somewhere.
You're in like the farmlands, and then you're like, no, there's
going
a
to
tiger.
be, because that's the norm. That's what
Yeah,
you're used to. That was the standard.
Yeah.
That when you're not seeing anything, it's like no. It's here somewhere. Shit, I'm not seeing it now, but it's gonna jump out of nowhere. And
so you had to like kind of
I
work on yourself on that.
I had to work on myself because I thought that was the norm, and that became the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to realize and admit that I am so used to having a toxic environment that sometimes that's what happens to people. They're in a toxic relationship, and that's why they can't go out with the good guys because
that roller coaster of
they can't
emotion.
They can't be in a stable environment because their defense, anything that the body is not used to, the body sees it as a threat, even if it's safety.
Mm-hmm.
Because your mind tells you, wait, we don't know how to deal with that. We don't know how to deal with a nice guy, with a safe guy. We know how to deal with toxic, so let's go back to toxic. Because we don't know how to deal with that. So that's a threat. So I had to recognize that my body's in survival mode for so long, and I had that limiting belief thinking that's what I know how to handle.
Yeah.
Right?
And I know that took time.
That took time. So I was literally like, I would vomit. Like, can you?
Dang.
And I would feel electricity, like literally behind my neck. And I can't sleep. I'm thinking like anytime something bad's going to happen, but nothing bad was happening.
Yeah.
Because I was so used to needing to fix something. So that was comfort zone for me. I didn't really know what safe felt. When safe was happening, it was like a threat.
Yeah, I'm so glad you know what it feels like now, based on what we've talked about in the past and how you are. And, I'm happy for you because I've heard, obviously, when we met years ago, is some of the stories that you're telling here on the podcast. And thank you for sharing that, for hopefully someone listening to this or watching this can take some of that, even that segment and advice that you've lived through over the past years and, hopefully help them make better decisions in their life. Because I think that's one of the things is like you spent your 15 years here and you've built a life for yourself, just like I have when I look at it. It's like I've built a life here being in the Philippines for 15 years that I know I would not have had if I had stayed in the United States.
Yeah. If I stayed in Canada, I probably would have
a very different life.
Yeah, I'd probably have kids with a police officer.
Yeah. And who knows?
That's what's expected of me. That's what's expected, you know? So
it
would be really different. And to think that, we'd be in this industry. I was in a different industry.
Yeah.
So I didn't think I'd have a job where I get paid to talk.
Yeah. I to this day, I still mention this, that I always take a moment, especially at big events, and I share the moment of gratitude for being in a position to get to do what we do.
I have a gratitude journal.
Yeah.
Every day I write down my small wins. Every single day.
Yeah. Mine's more of a mental thing, but
mine I write it down.
Yeah.
I make sure that I write it down. Also, because your brain is wired to see things, and my brain was wired to see things that were going wrong, and I have to prevent them before they happen. So sometimes I don't want to have a negative mind. So for me to train my mind to see the things that are going right, I had to make a habit of writing things down that was going well.
So you could read it.
And the small wins. So I'm able to spot them right away. And it makes me more grateful.
Yeah.
So I write them down.
Practicing gratitude is something I had to learn.
Yeah.
And once I was able to, then taking those moments, whether you write it down, whether you say it internally, I think is an important thing for a lot of people to practice, I would say, on their daily lives, or at least like weekly or monthly or whatever they want to do. And to kind of almost wrap this up, I have to ask you, like, would you do it again? Like, if you go back to that version of you in Toronto, knowing everything you've gone through.
To come here?
Yeah. Would you do it all again?
Yeah, I would do it all again. But again, I would
do it differently.
I would do it differently.
Yeah.
And you know how they say, like, oh, you wouldn't be who you are today without going through those things. I know. I would do it again. And because in the end, I had to get to know myself anyway. And it took what? 15 years?
15 years.
So I should have learned that earlier.
Yeah.
and then I would get so far right now. I'd be able to help so many more people right now if I figured myself out back then.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. And we're about to end here. I like to have a surprise question for my guests on this.
Surprise.
So we've shared so much in this episode. I think we're almost at 2 hours.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's been a great conversation, but I do want to ask you, Mara. I want to know, you've done so many things over the 15 years. You've had so many different versions of yourself over the 15 years, and you seem to be in your most healthy, happy version of yourself right now.
This is my happiest.
Yeah.
I was actually, sorry, before you asked, I was reflecting December 31st, 2025, and I almost cried because I had the best year of my life.
2025.
2025. So before New Year of 2026.
Yeah.
And I was just telling my boyfriend this, that I love my life. This is the life that I wake up and I'm so happy. And I can't believe that like I have this. I'm so grateful. And that is also why I hired a social media manager. I'm getting tutoring for 2 things because what allowed me to do that? So I need to take care of it and get better at it and hone my skills. So that way I could have the same life this year.
Yeah, or an even better one.
In an even better one,
If you can have one,
exactly.
yeah. Exactly. It's that adaptability that you mentioned, you know?
Yes.
And so here's a question.
Okay.
What do you want to be known for?
What I want to be known for, like what I want to be remembered by.
Yeah.
I like what you said earlier. I want to be remembered by as some, you know what? That's so crazy. Wait, I wrote something. Remember I was like reflecting earlier and I wrote something. Right there, I am someone who leads people to the right path.
That's what you want to be known for.
I want to be known for that. Like you helped me, and because of that, I'm like, because you helped me, I got better. I want to be known for somebody who leads them to the right path. Maybe that came from that hunger before of I wish somebody guided me, and I didn't have a guide. That's why I was a headless chicken. And even with friends, I would go thinking that this is a good friend. But it's not. It was more they chose me instead of me choosing them. So and even jobs, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to be more intentional. So anyway, the whole point was I wished somebody just guided me. I had like a mentor that guided me.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to be known for. Not so much being a mentor, but like me leading them to the right path. I help them become aware of something, or I help them towards something.
I love that. Yeah, because I think you have done that for a lot of people, maybe more than you even realize up to this point in all the parts of your life you've been through, and especially now in the world of esports and where you work. I think you've done that for a lot of people.
One.
Yeah, thank you.
That's an interesting one. I think I want to be more of service than I want to be known as like, I guess what people would expect me to say. I want to be the greatest host, maybe, right? Like no,
I didn't expect that because I know you more than that. So I think I like I love your answer because it's very you, and I, as someone who knows you personally and has worked with you, like, and I can say that in some way or another, I've felt that way. Like you've opened up my eyes about something else that I didn't see that helped me be better in what I do. So yeah, I think that was a great answer. I love that.
That's an interesting one. I guess that's what I want. If I'm gonna die, right? I don't want to be remembered for achievements. I want to be remembered for that. Let's say I'm looking down and I'm listening to people talk about me. I don't want people to say that, oh, she won or whatever that is. Oh, I know her because of her radio or because of Honor of Kings. And no, I want to be remembered as somebody who actually changed, who helped them get better at something.
Had an impact.
That would make me feel more fulfilled that I lived a good life.
Yeah.
That I actually made a difference in people, that I touched people. I help them. That would be, that's a good one. So that's going to be my mission. And that's so funny because I don't know why I wrote this today.
I saw you write that. Was that earlier when you wrote it?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Because remember I was talking about like, I don't have my I am this year.
Yeah.
I don't have, and then I had to write, I am someone who takes care of herself. Because I needed to have an I am, because I believe in that. Like whatever you define yourself as, all your decisions and action will work around it. So it's really important that you know who you are. Right? I am an honest person. You're always going to be honest. For example, if you say I'm an honest person, I am a cook. You're always going to cook because that's how you define yourself as.
Yeah. So thank you, Mara. Genuinely, thank you for being the first person to sit in this chair for the AFAM podcast. First guest. This is actually episode 3.
Oh, this is episode 3.
This should be episode 3 because I do solo episodes.
0, 1. Wait,
I do solo episodes and then I do guest episodes.
So what episode 0?
Episode 0 was Wolf.
Okay.
Your episode 3.
And then 1 and 2 is?
1 and 2 is me.
You.
Solo, yeah.
Okay.
And
a good job on having this. Yes.
Thank you. Again, happy Women's Month. Mara, wish you luck in everything you have coming ahead of you. And
you too.
Thank you. I know.
And I'm going to support you always.
I appreciate it. I know I'll probably have you on here another time talking about, there's so many things that we can learn from you.
There's so many things to talk about.
Yeah. And I thank you again. Guys, that's going to be the podcast. That's AFAM right now. If this resonated with you, please go ahead and follow wherever you're listening or watching. Another episode every Wednesday morning. And we'll see you guys in the next one. That's it for now. That's Mara, Aquino. That's me. We'll see you guys in the next Wednesday.